Hi guys, welcome back to another exciting video. So today this video was supposed to come up on Valentine's Day, but I couldn't film it. I was very busy and I just couldn't. I know that it will come up later. We are still in February, okay? So it's still a season of love, okay? And how was your Valentine, okay? Anyway, today's video is from Jordan Peterson. It's titled "Signs You Are Incompatible with Your Partner or Crush." What are these signs like? What is it based on? Is it based on research? What are these signs based on? Anyway, we're going to watch this and we're going to see if this is actually true. Especially people that are married, people that are engaged, people that have serious relationships. We're going to be talking about this today. If these signs are actually facts or they're just based on Jordan Peterson's research, okay? Before we dive into the video, I'm Oge. Welcome to the channel. It's the first time here. Super happy to have you here. Do well to like, share, subscribe, turn on post notification bell. Let's just dive straight into the video.
Imagine that you're looking for a stable partner. You might think, well, what do you want in a stable partner? And at least in principle, one of the things you don't want is too much mismatch between you and that person on the 5 fundamental dimensions. So for example, if you're really extroverted and you have a really introverted partner, you're going to engage in continual conflict about how much social activity the two of you should subject yourself to. And it's very, very difficult for people who widely differ on those dimensions to come to consensus, because it's not just a matter of opinion, right? It's really a matter of different, if you're looking at extremes, of really different types of people. And the thing about introverts is they just don't enjoy large-scale social interaction that much. One-on-one, they're often fine, but in a group, they don't like that, and it tires them out. Whereas a real extrovert, it's like you isolate them and they just wither on the vine, because a huge part of what actually motivates them in a positive way is tangled up with social interaction. And so if you're an agreeable person and you have a particularly disagreeable partner, you're also going to run into problems, because the agreeable person will say whatever you want whenever, and the disagreeable person will say, well, I'd like to know what the hell you want for a change, and be much more harsh and much more demanding in the situation. And the agreeable person is going to find the disagreeable person harsh and unpleasant, and the disagreeable person is going to find the agreeable person wishy-washy and unable to stand up for themselves. And again, that's actually one of the primary sources of tension between men and women, because women tend to be higher in agreeableness than men. It's about half a standard deviation, which is quite a large difference by psychological standards. And so what that means fundamentally, just so you have some sense of how large an effect that is that if you have a group of men and women and you pick out random pairs, the woman is going to be more agreeable than the man 60% of the time. So that's not an overwhelming proportion, but it's reliable, and it's quite large by psychological standards. So there's the problem with agreeableness. With conscientiousness, if you're conscientious, you're industrious and orderly. And orderly people seem to be sensitive to disgust, which is something we'll talk about in detail later. We've had a hard time specifying exactly what makes industrious people industrious, because it's hard to come up with an animal model for that sort of thing, and there's no theoretical model. But our latest idea is that, it's not my idea, it's actually the idea of my graduate student, Christine Brophy, is that industrious people find it unpleasant and unsettling to not be doing something. So it isn't so much that industriousness makes them happy or fills them with positive emotion. That would be more extroversion, right? Because extroversion is the positive emotion dimension. It's that industrious people can't stand sitting around doing nothing. And this is speculation, but human beings are obviously always engaged in the exchange of labor, especially the reciprocal exchange of labor. And you can imagine that in a community where everyone knows everyone, the people who work hard are going to be pretty irritated on a fairly chronic basis with the people who are completely unproductive. My suspicions are that plenty of people who were completely unproductive in the history of the evolution of our species were wiped out by people who were unhappy with their lack of productivity. And so I think, generally speaking, human beings have this sense of ethical obligation with regards to one another to share labor. And people who are conscientious really, really feel that. So they feel bad if they're not busily working on something that's productive all the time. And so the advantage to being with someone conscientious is, well, they're going to work like mad, but the disadvantage is they're going to work like mad. So, if you're looking for a partner that you want to relax with or have fun with, or who isn't uptight, then a conscientious person is probably not a very good choice. On the other hand, if you're a conscientious person and you're living with someone who's really unconscientious, that's good because they might be able to help you relax, but you're not going to be happy with them because they don't work nearly as hard as you do. But even worse, on the orderly dimension, some of you have had roommates and maybe you're more orderly than your roommate. What does it mean? It means you're annoyed by mess before they are. And you don't have to be annoyed by mess much before your less orderly roommate for you to be the one that's always running around picking things up. And so actually, one of the things that's emerged from the psychometric analysis is that women are slightly more orderly than men. And I suspect that has something to do with the inequitable distribution of housework. Imagine that your proclivity is to be triggered by disorder 25 seconds before your partner's. You're going to end up, it doesn't take much difference for you to be the one that's always concerned about the mess first. Anyways, and so if you're a really orderly person and you live with a disorderly person, well, good luck getting along with them. They're going to regard you as like uptight and over concerned with details and unwilling to relax, that's for sure. And they're going to regard you as, well, just a bloody mess. And how can anyone possibly live with someone like you? So another reason why it's useful to understand your personality is because I think it gives you a better crack at finding someone that you can actually live with over the long run. And we don't know what the optimal, I don't think you want to live with someone who's exactly like you, because then both of you have the same strengths and weaknesses. And there's a bit of a problem there, right? Because maybe an agreeable person can use a bit of a disagreeable person around them to balance each other out, and vice versa, right? So we don't understand the optimal balance for long-term thriving in a relationship, but I think we do understand the fact that if you're too different in your traits, that where you're different is going to constitute a chronic source of conflict.
Okay. I think when he started this video, it wasn't really making sense to me, because he started with the fact that if you're opposites, then there's going to be friction. It's not going to work. It'll be difficult. That's what he started with. But he later proceeded to say something that I so agree on and I'm a big believer of, is you need to understand your personality. A lot of times people go into relationships and they don't even understand who they are, what they want and what they don't want. They just see themselves agreeing and accepting anything and everywhere and everything, you understand? So it is very important, before you even get to know another person, do you even know your person? Do you know your personality? Do you know your character? Do you know what you cannot do? Do you have values? Do you have integrity? Do you know what are those things you want? What are those things that trigger you? You need to understand your personality first before you now get into a relationship or getting to know another person, because that way you will understand what's going on. But if you don't understand yourself first, then there's going to be a problem even from the beginning. When he also said, and something I've always known is that people always say something like, oh, I hear this all the time. It's because if you think about it from his explanation, it might not work. You understand? It might not really work. Like, okay, like people say, oh, you have to be opposite. If you both are extroverts, like, where is the calmness? Like, how will your children be? Do you understand? Things like that. If you talk too much, your husband talks too much, like, where will you guys meet? Like, it will be too much chaotic. It will be too chaotic. Do you understand? One person has to be an introvert to calm the extrovert down. But according to Jordan Peterson, he's saying that it might not work. That's what he's saying. But I really love people that are married to actually come. Like, what is it like in marriage, in a real marriage setting? Because what I know is, what I've always heard and what I've learned is that when if you're an extrovert, you have to go for an introvert. It's better you go for an introvert. Someone that's going to be your calmness, someone that's going to calm your busybody down. Do you understand? But he also made another thing that actually made sense is that that if you're too extroverted, like I remember there's this show, Love is Blind. It's a love experiment where people go into the pods to find love. They never met the person before, they don't know what the person looks like, they just like there's this emotional connection. So there was this particular couple, you know, they connected well, and they eventually got married. They went through the process and they got married while they were still courting, because they give them about 3 months to court before they actually get married. While they were still courting, 3 months or 3 weeks, I can't remember, I think 3 weeks, while they were still courting, she realized that she and the guy were opposites. The guy is the life of the party. He loves to go out. He likes to hang out with his boys. He has the piercing. The guy is out there. He has tattoos. While the girl is very calm. She's a homebody. She's an introvert. She doesn't like to talk. She's very calm. I mean, they connect on other levels, but the guy is an extrovert. So while they were dating or while they were courting, you know, they thought they could manage it, you know. Her mom, our parents would tell her that, are you sure you can handle it? You know, the guy would talk, because they really love each other. You know, they thought they could actually handle it. They got married, and news making the rounds like, oh, they were suffering their marriage and they eventually divorced. Like, I don't know if that's the reason, because the guy wants to be out there. You can't lock me in. You can't, baby, you can't want me to sit in the house, babysit you. Why? I really want to be out there. And it won't be fair on your partner when you know he wants to go out, you know he wants to hang out with your friends. Him sitting down there would not even make you happy as his partner. So that's when it begins to make sense with what Jordan Peterson said. But in conclusion of what he said it is important that you're not going after somebody that is similar to you, because sometimes you need that, especially if you're an introvert, you need some shaking and some disagreement sometimes. You know, not somebody that will just be agreeing. Sometimes you want a disagreement to actually see the other side of someone that would actually say, no, I don't think this will work. You know, not somebody that will say yes, and not just, you understand what I mean? So he said maybe someone that is a little bit, you know, someone that is similar, but a little bit similar, not totally similar, which actually makes sense. Because when you say actually totally different people who have different personalities and different characters, it might be difficult for them. But I feel like what marriage is, because when you say compatibility with your partner, I feel marriage at the end of the day, not maybe courting or really, at the end of the marriage, right? What marriage is compromise. You know, he talks about a situation whereby one person is a messy person while the other person loves to put things, is an orderly person. There has to be a middle point. If you want something to actually work, if you want your marriage to work without so many, because people get tired of disagreeing and fighting. If you want your marriage to actually work, you want that peace, you want that love, you actually have to meet at the point, at the middle. You have to find a middle ground. I'm a messy person. He's the orderly type. He doesn't like his things. Why don't you two just try? I know it's not your thing. It is not. I'm not the type that when I finish dressing up, after my shower and I'm done, I just leave my towel on the bed and then head out. But I'm with a partner that before we head out, we have to arrange the room. You take the towel back to the bathroom. You hang it properly. Your makeup, whatever, you tidy it up. You clean the floor before we head out. I don't want to come back and meet a mess. Do you understand? You might be with a partner, maybe a male, your partner, the man, and he's the kind of person that comes back from work, he's exhausted, he takes his shoes and he leaves it in the sitting room. But you're the kind of person that you like your thing, but you have to meet at middle. You come back no matter how difficult it is, just so that you can blend, just so that it will work. So if just like the part of the Bible that says, if two will agree, you have to agree. I know we are two different people from two different worlds. No, not different worlds, but two different backgrounds, different trainings, different environmental. You know, we are just from two different places, right? Maybe I come from a home where my mom cooks, and after she finished cooking, she doesn't work. Okay, say for example, you're coming from a home where after eating in the night, for example, after everybody had dinner, you just put the plate in the sink and everybody goes to bed. In the morning you wash. But he is coming from a home where everybody finished eating dinner, we wash up and clean the whole kitchen because we don't want cockroaches and ants in the morning. And it is hard for you as the woman. I am tired. I made the food, I served, we finished it, you're still asking me to go and wash. Do you understand? You can actually do the dishes, and you know, just two of you have to agree. That's what I feel like marriage is. You don't have to be perfect, you don't have to be the same person, you can be different, but you just have to agree, and it is very important. Don't go with somebody, don't join yourself with somebody that is extremely different from you and it's difficult for him to agree. In the situation of that couple I mentioned from Love is Blind, you know, while they were cutting, the guy will sit in the house, you will see he's not happy. When his boys are hanging out, his boys are going out, he's sitting in the house, he and his wife are cuddled up and they are watching a movie. He is not happy, he's not having it. And she knows her husband, her boyfriend or her fiance at the time was not happy. She just wants, okay, and situations where maybe she agrees or allows him to go out and he's coming back home at odd hours of the day, say 1 a.m., 2 a.m., where she's waiting and waiting. Do you understand? On Friday night, she just wants to Netflix and chill with her husband, but her husband wants to be outside. They're two totally different people, you know. She's very quiet, she's very calm, but the guy is, you know, sometimes she feels like the guy is a bat, like he's talking too much, but the guy loves to express himself. Do you understand? So sometimes it might not work if it is totally. So I kind of agree with with what he said from the onset, kind of, but I love how he concluded. You need to understand your personality first before you say you want to be with somebody. Who are you? What is your character like? What can you take? What are your boundaries? What are those things that trigger you? How do you know those kind of things? You have to know yourself before you now, you know, join yourself with another person. That way it will be easier for you to even walk out of the situation where it doesn't work for you. Anyway, I really love you guys to drop your input, what you think about this video. I feel like I've talked a lot but I really love you guys to put your input, especially if you're married. How did it work for you? You've seen your counselor. What do you think is the ideal, you know, way? Because Jordan Peterson actually gave different scenarios of where two opposites might not work, will not work. I think he said will not work. Two opposites, like totally opposite people will not work. It might work, but I mean it will be hard. They will fight a lot here. But I really love your input on this. This is very important to young people hoping to get married. Okay, so I really love your input. So please drop all you think about this in the comment section. Really appreciate it. Do well to like, share with your friends, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you in my next episode. Bye bye.